Welcome to this week's Night Sky Show, wherever you're watching from. So happy that you could join me today. It is April 5th, 2021. We're starting a new week of stargazing, and it's a jam-packed week. So why don't we dive in? First off, let me look at the chat room. We've got all kinds of folks from everywhere around the world joining us. I've got Dorothy from British Columbia, Sylvia from Texas. Hello, Lorraine from Toronto, Canada. Christina from Serbia watching. Welcome to all of you. Lubia from Ohio. Thank you. Beverly for sharing with your Facebook friends this show. That's what we want to do. We want to get as many people out there stargazing, getting involved in the hobby of sky watching, even if it's just for a few minutes out of your day. And I hope you have some clear skies because this week is jam-packed as well. But before I dive in, I wanted to also mention to you that this month, April, is officially Global Astronomy Month. Global Astronomy Month is put on by Astronomers Without Borders, and those of you who may not know me, the Night Sky Guy, I'm also involved, help out that nonprofit, international nonprofit, Astronomers Without Borders, that basically is there to build and cultivate community around the world using astronomy and bringing STEM education to all corners of the world. You may have heard of Astronomers Without Borders. They distribute glasses, eclipse glasses during the eclipse back in 2017. And since then, around the world, distributing to places where otherwise they would not be able to see the eclipse and enjoy it and understand the science, resources, including those eclipse glasses. That's what AWB is about there. And I'd like to show you basically the front page, Astronomers Without Borders. I welcome you to go there, astronomerswithoutborders.org. I'll put a link below in the comments. And this month is Global Astronomy Month. And when you go to astronomerswithoutborders.org, you click on this banner, and this banner will open up the GAM calendar, Global Astronomy Month calendar. And you'll see here a listing of tons of different activities that are happening throughout the month. Right now, we're celebrating, for instance, International Dark Sky Week, where we bring awareness to light pollution and how you can fight against light pollution in your municipality. We are partnering with International Dark Sky Association at AWB, so that's something to look forward to. It's also Globe at Night. This is a wonderful citizen science project that you can do, no matter where you are in the world. And we've got actually a lecture later on Monday, April 5th, by Connie Walker, astronomer who's pivotal in the development of Globe at Night citizen science project. So I encourage you to check that out. I'll have a link to all of this in the comment section below after I finish this broadcast. We'll post all of that there. And then you can see there's a lot of interesting things. There's podcasts, there's webinars, there's observation projects where you can use your smartphone. That's a really good one. Beauty Without Borders, Encounter of Mars and the Moon, where you get to take photographs of it and it'll be used to create this masterful animation. There's a global star party, actual virtual telescope tour of the night sky from Rome, Italy, for instance. We have from South Africa a series of wonderful podcasts that are astronomy related from African continent, really neat. And then, of course, we also have a concert, an actual concert put together by Giovanni Renzo, who is an accomplished composer, an Italian piano composer. He'll be putting together a unique broadcast for Astronomers Without Borders, specifically for Global Astronomy Month. So do stay tuned to all of these things. Again, this is all at astronomerswithoutborders.org. I'll put a link below. Global Astronomy Month. It's a great time to celebrate the night sky. So with that, why don't we dive in to what the night sky has to offer? The night sky is filled with really amazing things every month. And this particular month in April, we'll see a lot of really cool things. So moving into the planetarium program, if we look at the early morning this week, so April 5th, the week of April 5th, there's a lot of interesting things happening on the week of April 5th, starting in the early morning skies at dawn. If you look towards the southeast skies, you'll see the near quarter moon pinning down the southeast skies, maybe closer to the southern sky, depending on where you are in the world. But to the left of the moon, you'll see two bright stars. One will be brighter than the other. And these are, in fact, not stars, but planets, Jupiter and Saturn. So on Monday night, this is actually Monday morning, this morning. So this is in the past already. This is what the setup was. But the same thing will happen the rest of the week, but the moon will kind of pop over close to hang out with these gas giant planets. So if we move to Tuesday, April 6th, the crescent moon will be hanging below Saturn, a really beautiful sight. Together, the pairing will be easily seen with the naked eye. So you don't need binoculars, you don't need telescopes to actually see this trio with Jupiter. It'll make this really neat triangular formation. And of course, if you go out a little bit earlier, this is set at dawn, but if we go out a few minutes before, maybe an hour before your local sunrise, I've got this set up for New York City right now, the sky, as the orientation of everything. But maybe you're north of New York City, or maybe you're south of New York City, way south, maybe in the southern hemisphere. Well, this will be flipped over, so it'll almost be like a mirror image of what you're going to see in the far southern hemisphere if you're looking at this same site in the early morning skies. But nevertheless, these trio will still be together, regardless of where you are on the Earth. You'll see this trio of the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter. Again, this is Tuesday, April 6th. But if we want to switch over to another day, Wednesday, by Wednesday, you'll see this trio quite different. Oops, so we went a little bit farther. There we go. You'll see the moon pinning down the horizon much closer. It'll be more of a challenge. You want to get a clear view towards the southeastern sky, but you'll see the thinner crescent moon. We're heading towards... You'll notice that the moon is even a thinner crescent every day. That's because we're heading towards what's called the new moon phase. So that's where the moon is not, the disk is not lit up by the sun. It basically is disappearing from our night sky. It's not visible, and it leaves behind a dark sky that's ideal for stargazing. We'll talk more about that in a second, but let me finish with this. What you'll see is the crescent moon on Wednesday morning, with just underneath Jupiter. So if you have binoculars, of course, looking at Jupiter, you'll see the moons of Jupiter. There you go. This is sort of what you would see through binoculars, and a small telescope will reveal not just the moons, but also details in the atmosphere of Jupiter, such as this. You'll see these two equatorial cloud bands, belts, that are just basically clouds with very strong winds that are blowing in the high atmosphere of Jupiter. And you see these bands, these brown bands that run across the cloud tops of Jupiter, and they're visible very easily through backyard telescopes. That's a sight that you can get even with the smallest of telescopes. And with binoculars, you will see these four moons. In this case, you see Callisto, Europa, Io, and Ganymede, all of them scattered about. This is on Wednesday morning. This is what you would see at dawn. And these four moons are known as the Galilean moons because, of course, Galileo in 1609, the Italian astronomer, was the first to see it with the newly invented telescope. So that's something that you'll be able to look out for on Wednesday, just above the moon. The moon will be below Jupiter. And of course, if you have a telescope, now binoculars won't show you this, but a telescope will, is the Saturn. What makes Saturn so famous, of course, its magnificent rings, which are only 5 kilometers across, by the way. They're not that thick. And we think that they were formed hundreds of millions of years ago by a collision between an ancient moon of Saturn and maybe a wayward asteroid or a comet that basically pulverized that ancient moon, and the bits and pieces have gone into orbit around Saturn itself, and that's what we see, the result of that ancient collision. And it also says to scientists that eventually these pieces that are in orbit around Saturn, most of it are the size of dust grains, will fall into, gravitationally get pulled into Saturn, and at one point Saturn won't have rings anymore. That's the theory right now, the leading theory. So we're kind of lucky to live in the lifetime of Saturn, the epoch of Saturn's lifetime, where it has these beautiful rings that we can enjoy as sky watchers from here on Earth. So that is what's in store. And of course, look over here. You've got just off the side here, I'll move it over, is Titan. That is the largest moon of Saturn. It's the only moon that we know in the solar system that's covered with a thick atmosphere. We think Titan's filled with methane. We've sent a probe that's landed many years ago, European Space Agency probe, Huygens, the Huygens probe, down into the surface of Titan. And we know that it's filled with methane lakes. It rains methane. We think that these hydrocarbon lakes and rivers that flow on the surface really is something analogous to what Earth may have looked like just before life evolved on our planet. So look at that. You can actually see with your small telescope, spy on Titan right next to Saturn in the early morning skies this week. And so on Wednesday, you'll have the moon next to Jupiter, but Tuesday, tomorrow, as of this broadcast being Monday, you will see the moon underneath Saturn. So Tuesday morning, you'll have the moon like this, while on Wednesday morning, you'll have the moon underneath Jupiter. Very cool. Check those out. Definitely worth a look. Now, if we turn our attention to the evening skies now, because the moon is out of the way for us, we get to see a lot more stuff happening in the sky. So if we look out towards the deep skies beyond the solar system, but before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Mars, which is pinning down now the western sky. Now, if you've noticed, Mars has traveled quite a bit in our skies, from headlining the high southern skies in last year's summer. By the fall and winter, it started heading towards the southwest, and now is in the deep low western sky is where Mars is sitting. After darkness falls where you are, there is Mars tucked in between the horns of Taurus the bull. That's where you'll see it. And underneath, way underneath Mars, is another bright orange star, slightly different colored, and you'll notice that there is a color difference between Mars and Aldebaran. Aldebaran is the star that's 66 light years away and marks the eye of Taurus the bull. And then there's another orange star that makes kind of a a triangular formation of orange stars. Look at that. Betelgeuse marks one of the shoulders of Orion, the hunter. That's what we have here. Orion, and then we have Taurus. Two ancient constellations. These are some of the oldest constellations in humanity's history that we know of. These patterns of stars have been recognized by ancient humans, and we have records of that date back thousands of years. And here we have Betelgeuse, Aldebaran, and Mars, a planet and two giant stars that form this beautiful orange triangular stellar formation. So check that out in the early evenings, anytime this week or next week. This is something that any clear evening you can check that out. But what I wanted to turn my attention to, because we're in springtime now in the Northern Hemisphere, a very prominent group of stars are visible high in the southern sky in the early evening. Once darkness falls where you are, it could be around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock local time. If you look high in the southern sky, you'll find Leo the Lion. Leo the Lion constellation is fairly easy to find because it has one very bright star that marks the heart of the lion called Regulus. And Regulus is also marks the starting point of a pattern of stars that you can look for with the naked eye. You don't need binoculars or telescopes. Just let your eye adapt to the dark skies for about 15, 20 minutes once you head outside, and you'll notice this backwards giant question mark. You can see I'm marking it out with my mouse here. Regulus is at the bottom here marked, and then you have another star over here, another star over here, one over here. We're moving around the top of this question mark or giant sickle. Looks like a sickle, or I like to call it a giant backwards question mark. Right? That's the head. The top of the question mark is the head of the lion. And the back end of the lion is marked by three other stars. So the back end, the rump of the lion, and its tail, long tail marked by this other bright star called Denebola. So you see you've got these two pattern of stars, a triangle and then a backwards question mark, and put them together and you have the entire body of Leo the Lion. And this is another ancient constellation. I mean, we have records going back 7, 8, 10,000 years perhaps, as far back as then, that humans put together this connect the dots in the shape of this regal king of the jungle, Leo the Lion. The lion shape has been recognized for thousands of years by humanity. It's really fascinating to see. And this is easily visible right across the world. So if through both hemispheres, in southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, do take a look wherever you're located. Try to find this beautiful backwards question mark formation with the triangle at the back end, and you'll see it actually, to me, looks like, and to a lot of other observers, looks like a lion. And it's a typical lion shape. So do try that out. It's a fun activity for all ages. If you have kids, this is a fun one. Again, where are you looking in the sky? High in the south, high in the southern sky. This is, again, mid-evening. Once your darkness falls, that's where you're looking for Leo the Lion. Now, for those of you that have binoculars and telescopes, this region of the sky is very fascinating to observers, because you'll see that there's not too many bright stars, right? After seeing the winter sky filled with stars, jam-packed with bright ones, there's not too many in the springtime skies, just a few scattered ones. And that's because we're looking out beyond our, not just our solar system, but beyond our home galaxy. We are looking beyond the Milky Way. Remember, just to set the scene, our sun is just one star in an island of stars that we think maybe number 300 to 600 billion suns, all packed, an island of stars in the universe. There's many of these islands, and we call all these islands of stars galaxies. And the sun is part of the Milky Way galaxy. It's a pinwheel-shaped, flat galaxy with spiral arms. And we're located in one of those spiral arms. That's where the sun is, with its hosting of Earth and all the neighboring planets. It goes around the galaxy once every 350 million years, believe it or not. And so when we look towards where Leo the Lion is, as you see here, we're looking outside of our Milky Way galaxy. It's kind of a clean window without too much clutter from stars within the Milky Way. There's not too many. We have a clear view out of our galaxy into the great universe at large. And guess what we see? If we zoom in with telescopes and even with just binoculars, in the belly region, for instance, just underneath the belly of Leo the Lion, you'll get to see a lot more stuff in this region. So I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so you see the entire constellation. But if we zoom in, you'll start seeing these M objects, numbered objects, M105, M96, right? M66, M65. What are these? These are individual galaxies, these other islands of stars that we see far away, millions of light years away from us. So we are actually seeing other cousins of the Milky Way galaxy, of our home galaxy out there. And we can see these with backyard instruments. Your binoculars will show them as the brightest ones, and only a handful of the brightest ones, binoculars can just barely show you as fuzzy dots, just in the belly of, and the hindquarters, just in the back feet of Leo the Lion. So if we look at, for instance, M105 and M96, what do they look like close up? So if you would look with binoculars, this is about the view of what you would see with binoculars. You can see it like that. Let me just get a little bit better view here. There we go. There we go. So you can see this is the view that you would have through binoculars. It's incredible because what we're talking about here are islands of stars, these galaxies. M96, for instance, and M95, you can see these two, they'll look like two faint fuzzy dots in your binoculars. But if you have a telescope, well, then the view gets even more interesting because this is the kind of view that you'll get. You'll be able to put both galaxies in the same field of view potentially when you look at under low power magnification with your small backyard telescopes. Now, you're not going to see a lot of detail. It's not going to look like a Hubble Space Telescope picture. You can't do that. The whole cool part here, I think, is the ability to actually spy on them, for your eyes to collect those photons of light that have traveled for millions of years. So if we look at M95 on the upper right here, if we would see what it looks like, for instance, if we would take a picture of it through a backyard telescope, this is what you would see. Look how beautiful that is. You can see the spiral arms. It's a face-on spiral galaxy, M95. It's Messier 95, so it's Charles Messier, our astronomer friend from France in the 17th century. He cataloged a beautiful collection of deep sky objects beyond, those are objects beyond the solar system, and one of them is M95. And guess what? This galaxy is 32 million light years away. 32 million years it's taken light to travel across space and then to reach your eye when you're looking at this through binoculars or through a small telescope. It's really incredible to think about the distance that this light travels to you. It's incredible that it takes so long, and it's incredible that your eye can actually capture those photons of light. And right next door to it is another one. Here in the lower left is another beauty. This is M96. It's also 32 million light years away. So it's about the same distance. And look, it looks quite different. The shape of it is very different when you can take a picture, a long exposure picture through a telescope. In fact, there looks like there's another small galaxy very close by to it, right there. That's maybe another galaxy right in back that just happens to be superimposed on it. If we move up a little bit higher, look at this. There's another collection of galaxies right there. M105 being the brightest of the trio here. But look at this. We can actually get a view. This is the view of what you would have through a backyard telescope. And this galaxy is 37 million light years away. You can see beautiful collection of galaxies that are visible through a backyard telescope. Now, again, through binoculars, you'd see something like this, a collection of them like this. 3 little tiny fuzzy cotton balls are what you are going to be looking through. Hold those binoculars steady. If you can, put them on a tripod so that it doesn't shake. You can connect a lot of newer binoculars to a photo tripod with a little adapter that you can buy. And it makes a world of this difference to be able to do that. Now, if we go to the back end of the line, now where you're looking, remember, I'm basically showing you a collection of galaxies in the underbelly of Leo the Lion. Use the stars that are in the back end and the front end. Regulus is the front end there, the Regulus, the super bright blue star. And then this star here, Chertan, which is part of the triangle that represents the tail of Leo. Just draw a line along the belly, right across, an imaginary line. And these 3 galaxies, M95, M96, and M105 that we were just talking about, are about just off the halfway mark in between these 2 bright stars. Now remember, these are stars that are visible to the naked eye. You'll see them even if you're in the suburbs. Once you learn where they are with the naked eye, then you use what's called star hopping. You use the imaginary line between these 2 stars, bright naked eye stars, and then hold your binoculars in between them. And that's where you will be able to just find this group of galaxies. Right in between, almost at the halfway mark, you would go sweep down with your binoculars, and just there you'll look for 3 fuzzy faint balls. Remember, this is the view that you'll be looking for in binoculars. 1, 2, 3 little faint fuzzy cotton balls are what you're looking for. Not stars, not pinpoints of light, but little cotton balls. And then underneath Chertan, now that bright star, remember, there's 3 stars, Zosma, Chertan, and the nebula that mark off the tail end of Leo the Lion, right? You can see these 3 stars mark the tail. Now, if you look at just underneath there, again, binoculars, folks, binoculars become super handy of being able to mark off these another 2 bright galaxies right there. Even another one that's fainter is marked here. But look, I want you to focus on M65 and M66. 2 brilliant stars. This is, again, both brilliant galaxies, I should say. They look like little cotton balls in binoculars. But look, they're oval. Look how flattened oval both of these are. That's because we see them on the side. They're spiral pinwheel-shaped galaxies, very similar to the Milky Way, our own home galaxy. It's as if you're looking at our own home galaxy at a distance. And you see, like M65, if we would look at it with a beautiful imagery through a large telescope, you could see there's the central downtown core, and look at the wrapped around spiral arms. And all these clouds and what are called nebula, where stars are born and die, are located here. Star clusters are located. Millions of stars are making this glow. We can't see the individual stars because this galaxy is too far away. It's M65 is 42 million light years from Earth. And so you can't see the individual stars. They're just too far away. We see the combined light of all those millions of stars. And here, right next to it, is another one, M66. This one's 37 million light years away. Another beautiful galaxy. And look at this. This is what it would look like through a large backyard telescope taking a photograph of it. Again, spiral. This one's more of a barred spiral. Look, there's like a bar going through the central core, and then sweeping away are 2 of these very definite spiral arms. Again, You can't see the individual stars. You can see these stars here I'm pointing out. These are stars that are in the foreground. They're in our Milky Way galaxy, close to us, maybe a few thousand light years away. That's it. I know that sounds like a lot, but these stars are really very, very close in our own home galaxy, the Milky Way. They're in the foreground. They're just kind of cluttering our view. But in the background, at 37 million light years away, is M66. Beautiful pair of galaxies. Again, where are we looking? We're looking just at the feet, right underneath the rump of the Leo the Lion constellation. So there you have it, folks. And if you look here, we'll be looking at other things next time in Virgo. Give you a little whet your appetite. You put your telescope here, and there's tons of goodies here in terms of galaxies to look for in a backyard telescope. And even binoculars will show you some very fascinating, mysterious objects right throughout that region. So we're in springtime in the northern hemisphere. This is the best time to see what we call the galactic empire, to see the galaxies like the Milky Way spread out in the universe, in the skies above us right now. This is the time to go galaxy hunting. And I've shown you a few that you could start hunting down the brightest ones with binoculars and with your backyard telescope. Now, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'll have sky charts for these galaxies in Leo the Lion that'll be posted in the timeline on my Facebook channel and also on Instagram as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'll also post it on my general post section for my Night Sky Guide channel there as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tour of the night sky for the week of April 5th, 2021. If you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to also give it a like and share it with your network, with your family and friends. And let's get everyone out there sky watching like the rest of us. There's so much interesting things in the night sky. I hope you're going to have a great week. Thank you again. And I wish all of you guys, of course, clear skies. Bye-bye.